now.
Yeah,
Okay.
please go ahead.
Yeah. 1 second. Hello. Good
Yeah,
evening. Good evening to all of you again.
good evening.
Before I begin, I want to thank Sandeep for helping me out with this particular presentation, as also probably the previous ones with Sharath. He is he is a talent of creativity, without doubt. But for him, I don't think I would have been able to come out with this presentation. For the benefit of everybody, just like to inform you that I shared this presentation and discussed this with Dr. Mayuresh as well 3 days back, and we went all over it slide by slide. And then based on his suggestions, I've made some modifications here and there. So that's the brief background behind this. And now I will start. So this particular presentation is the third in the series of Discover Rotary, and it is titled, "Is it beneficial to all?" Basically, the terminology TRF is a familiar terminology with Rotarians, so we are able to understand that. But the composition of this presentation is something that we need to take it to outsiders. So that's what the whole concept is all about. Just try to take a little bit of a recap. We had the first one, the membership toolkit, and the second one, perceptions, is it the truth? Uh, Before we actually get into it, let's try and understand where Sharath came from when he wanted to do this Discover series. See, as I have previously probably spoken at some on some stage, the district training facilitator and the district training team, most of the job of this entire team is assumed that it gets over before even the year starts, at the time of pre-pets, pets, the assembly and stuff like that. And although there were a lot of efforts in the past, like a DOD or intercity forums and stuff like that, but this is a different way of presenting things which Sharath attempted. The objective being every Rotarian is an ambassador of Rotary to the outside world, and we need to increase our numbers in the Rotary fold so that we can become more relevant and effective in while doing service for the society. That was the basic objective. The first one, membership toolkit, was the beginning of that, wherein he categorized human interactions at different stages or different locations, whether it is for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then 10 minutes, and then half an hour. If you get that kind of a time period to talk to a prospective Rotarian, how would you talk about Rotary? And how would you make that other person interested to join the movement? Because what happens is each and every Rotarian has his or own perception about Rotary, and probably 10 different versions of what Rotary is, which is a personal kind of an experience and a personal view, is what propagates to the society at large. But once when all of us talk about Rotary in the same language, the same terminology, I think the effect would be better, so that each and every person who listens about Rotary from a Rotarian, he will have the same view and the same opinion about Rotary. That was the objective. Then, of course, following a 10-minute or a half an hour session with a prospective member, obviously this conversation goes to the next level when there is some more conversation which happens between the prospective member and the person who is talking to him. And then he comes out with a lot of perceptions, like, this is what Rotary is known to the outside world. These are the common ideas which float around. And he starts mentioning one by one what are the misconceptions that is there, and you need to clear all of them, and then go one step ahead and tell them, this is not, if this is not the truth, then what is the truth? And then you offer those 4 or 5 different the correct sort of interpretations and correct perceptions of Rotary, which is which needs to be taken to the outside world. That was the perceptions. Is it the truth? The second in the module. Now the third, of course, whatever we are starting today, is it fair to all? That's the title of this particular presentation. So following this interaction to the next level, there could be questions which will come into that conversation as to what is in it me as an individual Rotarian when I'm joining. So this is a very common question. Basically, a passionate Rotarian and a Rotarian in the making, or a new person who's going to be joining Rotary, he will have that curiosity of what am I going to be doing there? What is in it for me? So that's what you need to explain to them. That will give you a platform wherein there are so many things like a teamwork, a leadership, responsibility, your global connections, your community involvement, fun and friendship, networking, support for some cause that is dear to you, a sense of purpose, recognition, and all these things come in a platter to you. And it is for you to actually pick and choose what exactly and where exactly you would like to make yourself, fit yourself into what, and how you can, what is in it for you. That is a very, very individual question which can be answered this way. Then subsequently, the next question probably we anticipate is, how does this work? What is the benefit to society at large? That's probably another question, because the misconceptions were there. Now when you're actually trying to tell them the proper conceptions and clearing the doubts, so these are all the follow-up questions that might come in this particular interaction. And then when a question is asked, okay, how does the society at large benefit, what are, then you can go on to explain the 7 areas of focus which Rotary has, like the peace building, conflict resolution, the maternal and child health, the disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation and hygiene, basic education and literacy, support for the environment, community economic development. These are the areas of focus. Now this is a broad focus which is kind of put together by Rotary International at large, but there could be so many more local level issues that you might come across around wherever you stay, around the society or in your neighborhood. So those are a very, very localized kind of an interventions which probably you can undertake to make yourself relevant and to become significantly contributing to the betterment of things around you. And at various levels, how the interactions can work is what is shown in that the interlocking circles at the local, community, district, state level, and then at the national and regional levels, at the global levels. These are some of the things that you can pick up and you can highlight them when we talk to them. Okay. Then we go to the next slide. And then how do you make it happen? Because all interventions, there is a financial angle to it. So how does all this happen? So the first of all is, as an individual, you have your limitations, but to the best of your limitations, you contribute. That's what we as Rotarians do. And then we also become catalysts to garner philanthropic individuals and somebody who wants to contribute to a particular good cause. So you actually get the benefactors and the philanthropics together and make them contribute to a project of relevance. The next is arranging for the CSR funding to come into play so far as execution of projects are concerned. Now, why would a CSR donate to somebody? One of the prime reasons that CSR would donate to somebody like a Rotary, that's because there is credibility, there is a standing in the society, and therefore they know that when the money or the funding is done through Rotary, the objective of that particular project will be realized, and the money will be correctly spent. That's the kind of a confidence you have, or the companies have, when they start sharing their resources through Rotary, channelize their resources through Rotary for the betterment of society. Of course, CSR of a company will also depend on what are the focus areas that they are looking for. So obviously, once the focus area is something which matches the company as well as the Rotary Club in question, then I think the transition of the fund from there for the execution of the project is quite smooth. And the most important aspect, so far as funding is concerned, is our own foundation, the Rotary Foundation, which has been in existence for more than 100 years now. So that is one of the, I would call it some kind of a mutual fund for or a regular parlance, wherein the amount of money that you contribute and the amount of money you get back in so many other forms, there it's a multiplication factor, and you have a great resource to bank on when you're executing projects. Now let's go back in a little bit of a small history of the Rotary Foundation itself. This was formed in 1917 when President Arch Klump proposed an endowment for doing good in the world. And the Rotary Club of Kansas City made the first contribution of $26.5. And in 1928, it formally got christened as the Rotary Foundation. It was named as that. And in 57, the contribution of $1,000 by a Rotarian was the recognition of a Paul Harris Fellow that came into being, and so on and so forth. And in 2016, the foundation celebrated 100 years of doing good in the world. And then, down the line, the financial canvas which was made, which was getting ready for use, it exponentially grew to a huge amount. And from where the individual clubs could draw upon through various schemes and execute the relevant projects. Of course, stewardship is a very, very integral part of our system, and identifying a need-based project and making a project report and so on and so forth, that is something which will always follow. But the point is, the Rotary Foundation is there through all its schemes to help execute projects. The other one is, how does the Rotary Foundation engage itself in various activities? So of all the projects that was done through the global grants in the year 2020-21, there are under various heads like basic education and literacy, how much percentage of the global grants, or how many number of global grants were given for what areas. So that is the first one, which on the left hand side, the diagram which clearly indicates. And then on the right hand side, you have the total funding in millions for each of these focus areas. What kind of funding was made available? So all whatever you perceive, you conceptualize a big project, you have the financial resources of a vibrant and a foundation like Rotary Foundation to help you realize your aspirations, to help you realize the aspiration which you intend for your neighborhood, for your society. So that is one of the key areas which we need to focus upon. And coming to the biggest, the global intervention that Rotary
Ravi, you
Foundation
missed
ever
one slide.
attempted.
You missed one slide.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now,
Ravi, 1 minute. There was a message. After 10 minutes, this session will over or something. I don't think this is unlimited time.
Vinesh? Vinesh, are you
Vinesh.
there?
Yeah, it is basically for 45 minutes. This
Yeah,
is a free
yeah.
session.
My
We'll need to reconnect again.
Yes, yes.
okay.
Okay, I think we will get by
No, but
this
now it's only
particular
9:30.
presentation.
9:32. It's only 9:32.
Like
Okay,
there was a
We can
message of
continue
10
for
minutes. 3 minutes back, there was a message of 10 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead, Ravi.
yeah,
We'll
okay,
rejoin. We'll rejoin.
yes, yeah. Now, see, in 2020-21, the total contribution to the foundation was around 408.6 million. And how this contribution has got allotted to different areas, like the annual fund, the polio plus fund, the endowment fund, whatever, all how it has got apportioned, and then out of which how much was expend, or what kind of expenses, or how it was spent, about 362 million, and where it was spent. These are the areas how it got spent and how it got utilized. So this is one of the statistics that you need to focus upon when we are talking to the when you're making the presentation. And the biggest global challenge that we ever undertook was the polio eradication program, which we have already incurred an expense of over 9 billion US dollars. And the Rotary contribution to this is close to 1.7 billion dollars. Okay. And this has been on for last 35 years. It was a humongous program, and which it's really creditable that consistently we've been working for the past 35 years in this particular area. Sometimes the fatigue factor also sets in, but then the kind of conviction, the kind of commitment that the Rotary movement has towards polio eradication is something which is unbelievable. And this is something which you need to carry on, pass it on to the outside world in a proper way, so that they know what's the level of commitment we have when we do something and when we undertake something, how serious we are about it. And a little bit of a little more the Polio Plus committee, some more information on that. We have immunized over 2 billion children in the world, and in one day over 170 million children were immunized in India. There are some statistics which are very interesting. For this information has to be shared with the outsiders, and we are still left with 3 countries in the world where it is still found. I guess Afghanistan, Pakistan, and probably Nepal. These are the 3 countries where 1 or 2 cases more, and I think perhaps in Nigeria also there is. So this is one thing which we need to focus on, that we've been successful in getting it out to the remaining countries. And these 3 countries itself, they have their own special challenges to get to eradicate, which we are gainfully, or rather persistently we are following it up, and hopefully the entire world being polio free is round the corner. But let's see how fast we can achieve this.
Ravi,
Then
Ravi, may I disturb you?
yep,
Satish Kothare here. The
Yeah.
earlier slide stating 1.7 billions we have spent. So
Yes.
the obvious question could be on what account? So could we get that motamoti bifurcation of it?
Which one? See the
1.7
word-
billions, the Rotary contribution. Yeah.
The Rotary
Yes.
contribution has mainly gone into the procurement of medicines. Okay, and the distribution and everything, mostly the government
Logistics.
handles. The logistics government handles, but our contribution has mainly, means Rotary contribution has gone mainly for procurement of the
the
doses,
vaccines.
vaccines.
Okay,
Vaccines.
that's fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And the probably the next question that will come to the outsider is, why do you need to give to the Rotary Foundation? So you have to emphasize on the relevance of the Rotary Foundations, and the credibility, the accountability, the impact, the record of success, the global reach of the foundation. And most importantly, for the last 16 years, we've been given the 4-star rating by the Charity Navigator. One of the key things that needs to be told is amongst all the global NGOs working in various fields, the administrative cost which Rotary incurs while doing the project is the lowest, it's only 9%. You take an example of an organization like CRY, their administrative expenses is 45%. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation itself incurs an administrative cost of 25% of their total, the support that they give. That's the reason instead of executing a project through their own foundation, they prefer to give it to Rotary because they know the administrative cost is the least, and whatever money that they give to the Rotary Foundation will be perfectly spent. The stewardship would be excellent, and therefore a foundation like Bill and Melinda Gates are also comfortable giving the money to Rotary rather than sometimes executing the projects themselves. If there is a synergy in the project, and if they feel that's something it suits their focus areas, they would rather give it to Rotary. So that's how it is. So this is one of the key areas where why people give to the Rotary Foundation. So this is something is a good selling point to somebody who wants to join the Rotary, the relevance of the Rotary Foundation. The next question is the diversity of the projects that we actually undertake in Rotary. As I was mentioning, there are certain things in the global level, there are certain things at the local level, there are certain things at the national level and regional level. So if we've just put together the diversity of the projects under each of these focus areas to emphasize, it could be a small and very insipid looking intervention, but it has got a huge impact on the society where these interventions are actually carried out. Now, for example, in the saving mothers and the children, this basically on the maternal mortality and the child health. In Brazil, there has been a project where equipment and breastfeeding workshops have for pregnant adolescents at a hospital's neonatal ICU unit has been consistently given. So you imagine this looks like a small intervention, but its implications down the line when it percolates to the society